You woke up this morning and probably looked at a screen within minutes, maybe even seconds. That feels normal because it is normal now, but the real question is far stranger. What did your ancestors actually do all day? Most people imagine ancient humans constantly hunting, constantly fighting, or constantly struggling to survive. The reality was different, much different. For most of human history, your ancestors spent surprisingly little time doing the things movies usually show. What filled the rest of their day? The answer begins in a world without clocks, a world without calendars, a world where the movement of the sun mattered more than any schedule ever could. For nearly all of human existence, people lived as hunter-gatherers. That means they found food instead of growing it. Anthropologists estimate that this lifestyle dominated human life for well over 90% of our species' history. If modern civilization were compressed into a single day, agriculture would appear only in the final minutes. So what was everyday life like before farms, cities, and offices? Your ancestors did not wake up to alarms. They woke up to light. As the sky brightened, activity slowly began. Some people gathered food. Some repaired tools. Some cared for children. Some simply talked. That last activity turns out to be more important than it sounds. The anthropologist Richard Lee studied hunter-gatherer communities and found that many spent fewer hours obtaining food than modern office workers spend at their jobs. The image of endless struggle was not always accurate. Food mattered, but social life mattered too. Humans survived because they cooperated. That cooperation required constant communication. Imagine living in a group where every relationship could affect your survival. Would you spend time talking? Almost certainly. Research by Robin Dunbar suggests that conversation and social bonding played a major role in human evolution. Gossip may sound trivial today. In ancient environments, it was valuable information. Who could be trusted? Who shared food? Who was reliable during danger? Knowing those answers could determine whether someone thrived or suffered. A surprising amount of the day was devoted to maintaining social connections. Not because people were avoiding work, because relationships were work. Children were rarely isolated from adults. They learned by watching. They learned by copying. They learned by participating. Psychologists call this observational learning. Instead of formal classrooms, daily life itself became the lesson. A child might spend hours watching an experienced adult shape a stone tool, track an animal, or identify edible plants. Knowledge was everywhere because survival knowledge had to be shared constantly. Then there was movement. Lots of movement. Not intense exercise. Not carefully planned workouts. Just movement woven naturally into life. Your ancestors walked. They carried things. They climbed. They squatted. They changed positions throughout the day. Research from evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman emphasizes that the human body evolved for frequent moderate activity rather than long periods of sitting. Ancient life demanded motion without requiring exercise as a separate activity. Nobody said it was leg day. Nobody counted steps. Yet movement happened almost continuously. Food gathering itself varied enormously. Some days involved collecting fruits. Some involved digging roots. Some involved searching for honey. Others involved tracking animals across long distances. The image of a dramatic spear throw captures only a tiny fraction of reality. Most food acquisition required patience, observation, memory, attention to detail. Could you remember hundreds of useful plants spread across a landscape? Your ancestors often could. That knowledge took years to build, and years to teach. Women frequently contributed a large share of calories through gathering activities. This is one reason researchers increasingly reject older assumptions that hunting alone drove human survival. Entire communities participated in obtaining food. Different people contributed in different ways. Success was collective, not individual. Then there was waiting. Ancient life contained more waiting than many people imagine. Waiting for animals. Waiting for seasons. Waiting for weather changes. Waiting for opportunities. Modern life trains you to fill every empty moment. Ancient life often required comfort with uncertainty. That ability may still exist inside your brain today. Why do some people enjoy sitting quietly near a fire or watching waves roll onto a shore? Part of the answer may be that human minds evolved in environments where observation mattered. Looking was productive. Listening was productive. Paying attention could reveal food, danger, or opportunity. Fire transformed evenings. Before fire, darkness imposed strict limits. After fire, something remarkable happened. The day expanded. Groups could gather after sunset. Stories could be told. Experiences could be shared. Ideas could travel from one mind to another. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner found evidence that conversations around evening fires often shifted away from practical concerns and towards stories, social information, and broader discussions. Darkness changed the subject matter of human thought. That shift may have shaped culture itself. Stories became memory. Memory became knowledge. Knowledge became tradition. Tradition became identity. Without written language, stories carried enormous weight. A story was not entertainment alone. A story was storage. It preserved lessons. It preserved warnings. It preserved values. Long before libraries existed, human memory functioned as a living archive. Ancient humans also spent time making things. Tools required maintenance. Containers required construction. Clothing required repair. Nothing arrived in a package. Every object represented human effort. When something broke, replacement often meant creating it from scratch. That demanded skill. It demanded patience. It demanded practice. Many modern conveniences hide the complexity of survival. Ancient people could not outsource essential tasks. Knowledge lived inside the community. The natural world was equally important. Your ancestors knew landscapes intimately. They recognized tracks. They recognized sounds. They recognized seasonal changes. A slight difference in bird behavior might communicate valuable information. A particular smell might signal rain. A subtle change in plant growth might reveal opportunity. Modern people often navigate information. Ancient people navigated environments. Both require intelligence, just different kinds. And despite the challenges, evidence suggests many hunter-gatherers enjoyed substantial leisure time. That idea surprises people. Yet studies of several traditional societies repeatedly challenged assumptions that survival consumed every waking hour. Life was not easy. Disease existed, injury existed, risk existed. But constant labor was not always the defining feature. The real challenge was unpredictability. A successful week could be followed by a difficult one. Abundance could become scarcity. Planning mattered. Flexibility mattered. Community mattered. No individual survived alone for long. This brings us to a strange modern mirror. Today, many people spend entire days interacting with systems built by strangers. Ancient humans spent their days interacting with people they knew personally. Your ancestors depended on faces, names, voices, relationships. Modern life often replaces those connections with institutions, schedules, and technology. Neither world is perfect. Neither world is simple. But understanding the difference reveals something important about yourself. Your brain was shaped by thousands of generations who lived in small groups, moved frequently, watched nature closely, shared stories around fires, and learned through direct experience. That ancient inheritance never disappeared. It still influences what captures your attention. It still influences whom you trust. It still influences why conversation feels rewarding and why isolation feels difficult. Even your desire for meaning may trace back to those evenings when stories connected people beneath a dark sky. So what did ancient humans actually do all day? They talked. They watched. They walked. They taught. They learned. They made things. They shared food. They told stories. They maintained relationships. And in doing so, they built the psychological foundations that still shape your life now. You woke up this morning and probably looked at a screen within minutes. But beneath that modern habit lives a mind shaped by people who spent their days doing something far older than scrolling, paying attention to each other and the world around them.